Welcome to the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. Today, we're going to be talking about what types of business models, specifically consulting business models, can you leverage that are super popular right now, and that could be maybe not necessarily a replacement of what you're doing, but could be add-ons to what you're doing. I always love multiple revenue streams. And I think a lot of times knowledge is undervalued by so many entrepreneurs. The reality is knowledge is power. It is also money. There's so many people that need to know what we know, and or they don't want to do it themselves. They want to hire someone to do it for them. So knowledge, the things that we know, and it could be things that we learned like years ago, or we went to college for, or whatever. There's just so many opportunities for the things that we know. Whether that's just letting somebody pick our brain. When I say consulting, I think consulting can go in a couple of different lanes, meaning, you can consult with a company or a brand or a small business and just share knowledge with them. And then they pay you for that and they go do the thing, right? It can also be a combination of consulting, meaning, you advise them on the things that they should do, and then you do those things for them. And I feel like that is probably the biggest opportunity today across the board, because let's just be real, y'all. I mean, service-based businesses, I don't care if they're online or off, are so needed today. Plumbers, there's not enough of them. There's not enough people to work on our cars. There's not enough people to do the yard work because people don't learn those skills. 50 years ago, this is very general. So please don't be offended if I say this and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so sexist. I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying 50 years ago, a lot of men in particular learned how to work on things, they had to mow the yard or whatever. And now those are opportunities because people are busier today. They don't want to mow their own yard. They don't want to do the things. And that's certainly true in the online space too. There's just a lot of need for service-based businesses. So we're going to be talking about this. So as you're coming in, give me a shout out. Where are you in the world this morning? I see we have Pam in the house. Good morning, Pam, from Cashton, Wisconsin. Well, I'm so glad you're here. And I hope I'm saying this correctly. Yaboa? I hope I said that correctly. What a neat name. Sybil, girl, I'm so excited to see you. I hope you're doing well. Always good to see Paul in the house. We've got Indianapolis in the house. I tell you, some days words just do not roll off of my tongue. So you guys will have to just bear with me. All right. So again, going to be talking about I'm going to just cover 10 down on 10. And I did a lot of research for this show just to kind of give you some framework for, and I'm going to share some general numbers with you. If I say this particular consultant, this is the range of revenue, blah, blah, blah. I did a lot of research to find the ranges of revenue. Some of it is, research based on, what others have reported or done studies around. And some of it is just my own core based knowledge that matched up with the research. I've built seven-figure businesses over the years, past 30 years. They were all online businesses. And I built several six-figure businesses. And most of those six-figure businesses were small agencies. In fact, I have a boutique agency right now that's a six-figure revenue stream for me. And I'm like, do I want to really scale that up? So, each and every one of you can have an agency, AKA consulting service-based revenue stream. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to build this massive agency to support it, but you have knowledge that you can monetize. So let's dig into what I found and I believe to be the top opportunities in the online space today. And I'm saving the best for last. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. So you may have to hang out in there with me. for the best, because I do believe there is a shift happening in the online space, one that you're probably seeing. So I'll say this before I jump into the list. When I say there's a shift happening, I was talking to this massive online person the other day, somebody who has like sold 2.5 million of their last course, and they were getting ready to do, in fact, they just launched again. And the last time they launched, they had, like I said, 2.5 million in sales. This next time that they launched, they had like, 500,000 in sales. They're like, what the heck is going on? It goes back to shift. Shift is happening. If you drop a little bit in revenue from one launch to the other, like, okay, you can live with that. But like, that's a massive shift to go from 2.5 million to 500K, for launching a program. So there is absolutely things happening. I think that we need to, be in the know, decide if our business model is going to support our business, for the next 5 years, or even the next 3 years. Or I would even argue in some cases, there's businesses that are going to struggle in the next 30 to 60 to a year timeframe. So let's dig in. Before we do that though, let me just give you a couple of small things. Every show we do giveaways. Today, our giveaway is going to be my course, How to Confidently Charge for Your Service and Earn More in the Process. I felt like this was super powerful in the context of this conversation, because a lot of times, what our fees are is obviously it's a direct correlation to how much money we make, right? So how to charge what you're worth essentially is what this course is all about. We're going to be giving away 2 of those. And how do you win? We have 3 simple ways that you win. The first one is share your aha moments in the Down Under area. Okay. So if you hear something that's like, I didn't know that, or, oh my gosh, that's so good, or I knew that, but I needed to hear it again, please, please, please just drop those hashtag aha. You have to use the hashtag aha down under, because that's how we enter you into the Wheel of Wow. And if you share this out, if you sprinkle it into the world, somebody that would get value from this, bring them on in. We would love to have them. That's a third way that you get added to the Wheel of Wow. And then the last way is ask questions. We love them. And I try to get to as many as possible. If I don't answer a question, we miss it for some reason, we'll certainly answer after the show is over. Also, if you don't want to take notes, you don't want to sit there with your pen in hand, then, but you would like to go back and look at the notes later, just drop notes in, and we will make sure you get those. Okay. Now I will say this, you have to be on Facebook in order to get them. We don't have a way, unfortunately, like LinkedIn doesn't have a way for us to send that to you through LinkedIn or YouTube or some of the other platforms. But just hop on over where you'll drop the link in the comment area for you to drop to come on over to Facebook. We'll make sure that that's automated and you can get those sent to you. Okay, so let's dig in. All right, let me pull my screen up here. All right, there we go. So like I said, 10 profitable online consulting business ideas and opportunities in 2022. And I would say beyond. We're obviously almost tail end of 2022 already. It's hard to believe that the year has just like flown by, right? But basically, everything I'm sharing with you right now is what I'm seeing in the space and potentially some of the shifts and, again, the opportunities. So traditionally, if you've been selling courses, or if you have a knowledge base and you're trying to monetize it, let's just say it like that. If you have an expertise, we all do, by the way, we all have an expertise, and you're trying to monetize it, then consulting absolutely could be a revenue stream for you. It could be your whole business model. In fact, you may already have a business model that is one of these that I'm getting ready to share with you. So let's talk about the first one. The first one that's super powerful. It's one of those things that I don't think is going away anytime soon. Is an SEO consultant. Okay, so what is an SEO consultant? It's someone who helps business owners SEO. That's let's see. It's basically optimizing your content for the search engine. So it's search stands for search engine optimization, and it's someone who has all that knowledge, the know-how to make sure that your content can be found in the Google machine. Okay. I say Google machine because it's the top search engine, but there's other search engines out there as well. So it's anybody that, has that skill set. Now, this is the interesting part is that, and I would love to know from you guys, have you ever hired an SEO expert? I have hired several over the years, and some have been beneficial, some not so much. I ended up developing my own SEO checklist that we use internally. And the reality is you don't have to have an SEO person to show up in the Google machine, but you do have to know some basics, and you have to have content, consistent content, I would say. So SEO expert is somebody that does that for you, because the reality is most of us have no knowledge of this. We have no idea how to get the zero position on the Google machine, or we have no idea how to make sure that our content is optimized so that when somebody is searching for us, they can find us, right? So I see some no's. The reality is that there is an SEO expert on every corner. It's hard to know, right? It's hard to know who is good, who knows what they need, who knows enough to get you results. So it can be frustrating sometimes. I see quite a few no's, one yes there. So let's dig into the numbers though. How much can you make as an SEO expert? On average, now this is on average, because there is so many SEO experts, and there's so many SEO experts that are in developing, I would say developing countries, or that's not necessarily the right word, freelancers maybe. Where if we're a U.S. business, for example, we can hire somebody for a very nominal fee, sometimes in other countries, which drives the value of what we can charge here in the U.S., right? So on average, you can make between 3 to 7K a month. Now, there's absolutely some SEO people who are doing way more than that. And there are entire agencies that do this for a living, and they, of course, their money is way higher, right? I mean, the value of their business is way higher, and they're definitely making more money. But on average, again, 3 to 7K. The average investment. Now, this is the thing that I really want you to focus in on as I go through some of these things. The average investment for becoming an SEO expert is between 500 to 10K, meaning that, and I would argue that it's probably even wider, because there's a time factor in all of these. Like if you just decide tomorrow that you're going to be an SEO expert, or even if you have already amassed a certain amount of knowledge to feel like you know some SEO stuff, that's time. That is, you had to figure it out. You had to, maybe you went through a course, or maybe you've just been figuring it out on your own. But that is time that you've devoted to it. And sometimes that time is not factored into the investment cost. So on average, you could spend, a lot of money learning how to do it, and then your time to revenue, meaning the time you hang your shingle and say, woohoo, I'm an SEO expert, can be pretty high, and I think this again is dependent upon how much visibility you have in the space. But I think the one thing that I saw over and over again when it comes to SEO style businesses is it's just backbreaking work, because there's so much One, the hours are crazy. There is so much additional knowledge all the time coming into the space. You have to stay on top of everything. It can be a very consistent, always on type of business where you just have to stay on top of literally everything. And interestingly enough, there is several types of consulting business models like this. And I'll share a couple more in a moment. But for those of us that have consulting style businesses, some of them can be not as labor intensive from a knowledge perspective. And this is definitely the opposite of that. This one is one that you're just going to have to consistently stay on top of the space. Okay, so bookkeeping. So bookkeeping is a huge and emerging online opportunity. Now you would think, well, that makes sense. Why is it just now really beginning to gain traction? Because I think it's one of those things that gives a lot of people the false impression that it's what's the word I'm looking for? That it's legit. That's the word. Like, if you were to tell your mom or your dad or your sister or, your neighbor that you're starting a bookkeeping business, they'd be like, cool, that is awesome. Like, it's a traditional business, right? Whereas if you say, I'm going to start an SEO business, they're like, what's an SEO business? It's just, again, it's just a impression that this is a real business and maybe some of these others aren't. So bookkeeping has that stamp of like approval, maybe right out the gate. So a lot of people have really begun to gravitate to figuring out how to be bookkeepers for businesses. So question for you guys, does your business have a bookkeeper? As a business owner, most likely obviously, not most likely, obviously we have books to keep, right? We have financial things that we need to take care of. In some cases, we can do it ourselves. In a lot of cases, we don't know enough to really do our books properly. So is there a market for bookkeepers? Absolutely. Because the reality is that every one of us as business owners should have a bookkeeper, right? So there's, like I say, there's a huge opportunity in the bookkeeping space. So let's talk about numbers. How much can you make? On average, bookkeepers are making between $5,000 to $3,000 a month. Now, the investment cost, because you should, if you're going to be a bookkeeper, you do have to have a certificate to showcase that you've been trained to be a bookkeeper. This isn't like, hey, I can just start an SEO business or I can just start this kind of business and hang your shingle kind of thing. As a bookkeeper, you do need some certification. So roughly it'll cost between $1,500 to $3,000. Time to revenue, 3 to 6 months. Again, I think this depends on, visibility. Do you have a selling system in place? A lot of things that are going to ultimately impact the time to revenue, regardless of these consulting gigs. But the revenue from as a bookkeeper is not through the roof. The reality is that it's labor intensive as well. So you're literally charging time for money in this particular scenario, but you more than likely are going to have revenue coming in from those clients each and every month, which is a positive thing. In some cases, like an SEO expert, for example, they may get hired, for a one-off job, and it's not a monthly recurring revenue stream. Although there are monthly recurring revenue streams, packages that you could create in an SEO business. But for bookkeepers, it's pretty much a monthly fee that your clients are going to pay you. So it's consistency, that's a win, right? There's another space that emerged and has been very popular. I feel like that it may not stick long term, but I'm going to tell you about it because it is very popular even still today. And that's, people who are coordinating and managing consulting on virtual events. So virtual events are huge right now. There's still a lot of people that are hosting virtual events. A lot of people have started to go back to in-person events, and there's a lot of like synergy around that. But I feel like the whole online event space is going to have some longevity for some period of time, especially in the training space. So my youngest son works for a company that supports, they do the training for the Federal Aviation Association, FAA. I always get those acronyms mixed up. Federal Aviation Association. I think that's the acronym or what it stands for. So they do the training for them. And of course, since COVID, he has been working from home, and the whole training component is still online. Now, at the time that COVID happened, they had no training online. So they had to adjust, they had to pivot, they had to put all their training online. And to this day, they have not taken it back. Thank you, administration, not association. Thank you, Vicki. I always get it all messed up. I've said it FFA. My husband's like, no, that's better. That's a farming organization. And I'm like, okay, FAA. Okay. So anyway, they've still got their training online, and for the foreseeable future, which is kind of an interesting thing. Will they revert back to online training? Revert back to in-person training? Potentially, because a lot of the people are beginning to push back. They're like, we're tired of this online training stuff. We want an in-person event again. But I feel like a lot of companies have figured this out, that they're able to train and, do so in an online space, and it's saving them tons and tons of money. So I feel like there's a real space for this still. Let's talk about how much you can make with it. It's anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a month on average. Average investment, depending on what, again, where do you get your training? Sometimes it can be as upwards to $10,000. When you get upwards to that higher tier, usually that's from a tech perspective, like you've invested in, learning at a higher level, like, how to manage a huge event, for example. And that might be, getting some higher tier training. But time to revenue is a little bit less, 3 to 6 months usually, because again, there's so much opportunity. And this is a space that is not necessarily as crowded as some of the others. Like I said, SEO, one on every corner. Bookkeepers, there's beginning to be one on every corner. The virtual live event consultant is not as crowded as some of the other spaces. Ad campaigns, and I lump this together because this could take several different directions. So you could be a Facebook ads pro, a consultant. You consult and you do services for companies that are wanting Facebook ads. It could be Google ads. It could be YouTube ads. There's a lot of different platforms. It could even be Pinterest or some of the other platforms. Some people specify or have specialties in certain platforms. So, and some obviously do multiple types of ads. TikTok is a new and emerging ads platform that, I see a lot of Facebook ads people stepping into that space too. So in some cases, you could do a hybrid model, meaning you run several different types of ads. But let's take a peek at that. But before I do that, though, what I find usually happens when we are trying to market our businesses is, one, we end up frustrated trying to do our own ads, because the reality is ads are a skill set. They take knowledge, they take time, they take constant, oversight, and you have to know what you're looking for, or you don't get the results that somebody who has that knowledge is going to get. So I'm just curious, are you frustrated trying to do your own thing, or do you have someone running your ads? So most people end up with that frustration point. They know they need to be doing ads, and they end up hiring someone to do it, which is why the space is literally like popping, and because it's tied to money. It's one of those things that you can say, okay, if I spend $100 on Facebook ads and I get 300 back, win, right? And if you know how to do them, or you have somebody doing them for you, then the chances of you being able to invest a certain amount of money and getting a certain amount back out is very good, as long as you and or your person knows what they're doing. So let's take a look at the amount of money. Now, this is a broad spectrum because this can literally be a huge business for you. But on average, what I find is a lot of people that are just getting started out are in the probably 2 to 3K range. And I'm very familiar with this space because I've done this myself, and I've literally helped other people start businesses of this nature. So 2 to 3K is, kind of like the average for a Facebook strategist in particular. I'm going to use Facebook as a quick example, but it can go all the way up to 5+ million, even more if you ultimately build out an agency where you are known for whatever ad platform you are specializing in, or if you do a multitude of ads, then you can really, really scale to something huge. The average investment for becoming one of these ads specialists can be super high. Again, the time invested in all of these are very crazy in the context of, it's a knowledge base. It takes time to learn. You can invest in training, multiple trainings, but you still have to figure it out. You have to do it. You have to play with it. And on average, so one of the questions that I see in the comments is, how ad strategists charge. Well, it varies. If you're just starting out, I find that a lot of people are coached to, take a couple of clients for free. I never, ever would coach somebody to do that. But I've seen coaches do that. Just take on a couple of clients, learn, and I see the value in that. But you got to remember you're a business owner too. So, the reality is you're not if you're a solopreneur and you're doing this on your own, you can probably only handle 3 to 5 clients before you're maxed out on your time. So if you're charging and again, depending on your level of experience, a lot of people will charge, on the lower end of the spectrum, $800 to maybe $1,500 per client just to manage their accounts. And then the higher tier ads people will charge anywhere from 3 to 7. We have paid as high as $7K for a management fee, just the management, meaning they're doing the ads. Managing the ads for us. And then they also charge a percentage of ad spend. So if I'm going to spend, $1,000, they're going to take 10% of that as another revenue stream for them. So it depends. Sorry, I had to take a quick sip there. So lots of investment of time. Sorry. One quick thing. Whew, talking so fast. Sorry about that. I had to take a quick minute. And then the time to revenue can sometimes be high. So, Maria, that is a monthly fee. So normally, depending on the level of experience of that ads person, it can be $800 a month to I've paid as high as $7,000 monthly just to run the ads, and I had to pay a percentage of my ad spend at the higher end of the spectrum. So there's a lot of spectrum here. That's why I say 2K to 5+ million. A lot of people that are just getting started out don't value their time and their knowledge very much. They're uncertain. They're worried that if somebody spends money with them and they spend ad dollars, that they can't make money back for them. it's just a combination of things. And the fascinating part is that a lot of times, even if you land a big client, so I have a super sweet friend. I have a lot of friends in this space, but I have one friend that landed this huge client and had really great success, but for the client. But what usually happens with ads is they have a life expectancy. And, once that ad no longer works, you have to learn how to scale it. So what usually happens is the big clients, they jump from one ads person to another because they think the grass is greener on the other side. Somebody else is going to be able to help them at a larger scale. Anyway, this can be a very cutthroat space. So just letting you know, it can be profitable, but it can be a little bit cutthroat too. Another really amazing space, and I used to I don't know if, I won't say I made fun of it. That's definitely not true. But maybe my perception of this space was a little jaded, dating, being an online dating consultant. But I have come to realize that this is such a necessary and really powerful position for someone that has this knowledge, that has the training in this space, because we're so disconnected these days. There is nobody to, especially now that a lot of people are still working from home. Where are people going to connect? Where are they going to meet each other? And trying to find that perfect person can really be difficult. And I guess it's always been difficult, but it has certainly been way more difficult, I think. And even going forward, I think it's super difficult. So I've really come to appreciate this at a lot deeper level than I used to, and I feel like there's a huge opportunity for people. But I will say this: I feel like you do need experience at this. I don't think you can just say, "Oh, well," no, experience is the wrong word. Training is the better word, because I wouldn't be able to hang a shingle and say, "Oh, I'm a relationship expert and I can help you find your perfect person." Yeah, no. But for people who have training, they're a psychologist, they are, they have. And I feel like that if you also can be this person and support this space, if you have a lot of personal experience too, like if you have a story that's super powerful, I think there's value in that. But the amount of money you can make in this, it ranges wildly. But those that are really consulting and coaching can make thousands of dollars a month. I have somebody that was in my last mastermind that was a relationship coach, and her monthly revenue was in excess of $30K a month. So she was doing really well, but she did have a master's degree in psychology, and she was really just rocking it. Her stories of success were really powerful. But so the investment, if you're looking at through investment dollars, it's like, do you go back to school? Did you go to school for it? Is there, some way to really tap into this space? I think this is a very knowledge base is one thing, but you also have, I would say, have to have a little bit more formal education maybe for this. Time to revenue is probably about 200 plus days. Next up is the social media strategist, or this. Now, let me just say this. I will say that it's all about terminology. So when you are telling people who you are, like you're saying, I am a whatever, right? I'm a consultant, I'm a strategist, I'm a manager. So let's just take a look at this. When I was first starting out in the social media space, I had a biz op where I was helping other social media managers become social media managers. And then I realized, wow, they need to start presenting themselves at a higher level because a lot of people just thought, well, the management, all you do is, you just post something on social media. Well, anybody can do that. But then, if you say you're a strategist or you are a consultant, that denotes a higher level of knowledge and skill set. And therefore, and forthwith, you get to charge more. Okay. So, because the reality is that social media management isn't just the management piece. It isn't just posting on social media. You have to know what to post. You have to know when to post. You have to, what kind of content to create. You have to have a growth strategy. There's a lot that goes into managing other people's social, which leads me to question. I have a question for you. Does social media make a lot of money for your business? Is that true or false for you? And the only reason I'm asking this question, I have a method to my madness here. I think that social media has been kind of one of those things that, because it didn't cost us anything, and so many people had success with social media, that a lot of business owners have put a lot of eggs in that basket. But they haven't really figured out how to monetize it yet. Now, that may not be you, so feel free to say, yes, it's making me a lot of money, or it's not, true or false. And there's no judgment here, because we're all here just to learn and figure it out and do better. So there's a lot of absolutely what I call shiny object syndrome going on when it comes to the social media space. But it gives a lot of opportunity too, because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I need to be on social media. But on average, as a social media manager, people are making anywhere from $100 a month. Yeah, I said that, to $50K a month. Now, what? Like, that's a big broad spectrum, Kim. Yeah, it is, because there's a lot of people who are not charging a whole lot, or they're struggling to get clients. I've had people who've been in the business forever who, they're like, oh my goodness, it's getting more and more difficult to get clients, and I'm struggling. So it really can range. The average investment to hang in a shingle can be super broad. If you decide you're just going to do social media for a specific platform, I'm just going to do Instagram, for example. Absolutely suggest that you do that. When I was doing this in my one of my earlier businesses, we were a generalist. We were doing all the socials. We were trying to be all things, and that doesn't usually work out very well. And it really ran us into the ground, because we were trying to stay on top of all the things. And that's true. It goes back to, social media changes every day. So the time and the labor as this evolves can be very intensive. Time to revenue, 210 days. Even if people are asking you, because most of the time when you first get started, you undervalue yourself. You don't know how to price yourself. And you don't know how to position yourself at a higher level, meaning, it's not just, it's growth, it's content creation, and it's management, meaning you have to talk with people on behalf of the company or the brand. So there's just so many things that go into this. There is components of it that you could slice off. Like, you could just be an Instagram growth strategist or an Instagram growth consultant, for example. So there is many different components to this that you could do moving forward. But the reality is that social media has become a bit of a commodity. A lot of people are trying to do it themselves, or brands have brought their social media in-house. So it's become a little bit more difficult to have a business like this, even though so many people still want it. It's just more difficult to, one, find a good person, and two, to find those people that are still looking to hire somebody to do it for them, because social media, and I say all that to say, this is why I asked you guys if social media was making you money, because if your efforts as a social media manager doesn't start to show up as results in your client's bank account, then they don't stick, because they don't understand that a lot of what happens in social media is is really just about community, brand awareness. And if you don't have income strategies in place, you are not going to make money with it, which is the biggest disconnect I see probably with 90% of the businesses out there, which is why they haven't been able to monetize social media. So it can be difficult to be in this space. Is it still needed? Sure it is. It's just, again, this is one of the more difficult spaces. E-com consultant. This is a huge and exploding space. I don't know as much about e-com as all the other online business models out there, because I pretty much dabbled in all the others except for e-com. But that doesn't mean that e-com is not a great opportunity. Now, if you are, if you don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to the e-com space already, then that's going to put you at a disadvantage. If you do have some knowledge, you can just have an explosive business. On average, 1K to 80K a month can be the revenue stream, the size of the revenue stream for this type of a consultant. The average investment, though, is way higher. There's a lot of different types of e-com specialties. You could be a Shopify consultant, you could be an Amazon consultant. It could be a lot of different things. And the time investment is super high, as well as where do you get that knowledge? It's just not hanging out on every corner, and it's not an easy thing to learn. So a lot of effort would have to go into this unless you learn by trial and error. But that, again, goes back to time. Time is money. So the time to revenue is about 200 plus days. And direct mail. What is she saying? Direct mail campaign? Direct mail? Is that like you go to your mailbox and you get out a piece of junk mail? Is that what Kim is saying right now? So question, yes or no, is direct mail dead? Direct mail meaning you go to your mailbox and there's something physical in it that is a marketing piece. Is that dead, or is it a new amazing opportunity? I'm just curious what everybody thinks. So let me just tell you, this is something that has hit my radar probably in the last 6 months. My business coach has been all over this, and I'm hearing it and seeing it in so many places where direct mail is absolutely rocking it for those that are embracing it. So you'll see a lot of the top marketers now with some sort of a physical newsletter. Let me show you one here. Hang on. So I get this one from Digital Marketer. Super amazing. They're just chock full of amazing things. I mean, it's probably, let me see. This particular one is, looks like it's 25 pages. I've seen them as much as, 2 pages, 3 pages. I don't think the size of them is as important as the fact that there is a physical pieces of paper. Nobody does this anymore. So it's like, oh, I got mail. You remember when, for those of you, now some of you will remember this, some of you might not, but like when the internet first started and some of us had AOL accounts and you got that "you've got mail" message, you're like, oh, somebody sent me an email. And it was like, you just rushed to go check it out and see what you had gotten. And now we are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go through my inbox. There's going to be 100 spam messages in there, or there's going to be, whatever. It's just very difficult to stand out in an inbox today, an email inbox, versus the early days when we were looking forward to it. We have had that dynamic flipped with direct mail, because we used to walk to the mailbox or, pull up to the mailbox, get our mail. And it was like the stack was this tall and it was all this junk. And you're like, throw it. Now you go and all you have is a couple of bills. So when a direct mail piece is intermixed into those couple of bills, well, let me check that out. Right. So we just have that, flip dynamic going on today. So I believe that there is a huge opportunity to become a direct mail consultant. So what does that look like, right? So how much can you make? The range is, and this is kind of a, the direct mail consultants have been around forever. That this is not a new kind of thing, but I feel like a lot of people have omitted, looking at it as an opportunity in the past 10, 15 years. So you can make anywhere from 1 to 40K a month, depending on, what services you offer. A lot of people that do direct mail also do things like email marketing. So it's kind of a package deal. They're trying to work somebody's email address to get them to give their mailing address, ultimately to get them in both directions, meaning I'm going to get in your inbox, but I'm also going to get in your mailbox kind of thing. So average investment is 1 to 5K. It's fairly low investment. Time to revenue, I think, is still 200 plus days. I feel like the only real barrier to entry here, if you wanted to do something like this, is that it's almost like an education thing where you have to educate people to the opportunity versus them actively looking for you. There's not a lot of, in fact, there's probably a bunch of folks out there that would say, no, I'm not doing direct mail. I never even thought to look for somebody that would do direct mail for me. But yeah, there is, and there's going to be way more and more people that are going to be stepping into this opportunity because it's working. I have a gal in my mastermind right now who my business coach says, hey, you need to try this. She tried it. She sent out, I think she's 84 newsletters. And she, last time I checked, she made just one, but that's all it took. She made one $9,000 sale off of, and I think she spent $164 to mail out 84 newsletters, and she made a $9,000 sale. So, it's just really a kind of interesting dynamic that is absolutely shifting in our space, is that direct mail piece. And I don't think this is going away. The fitness, the diet consultant, it could be, and I see this, I didn't lump them together because I feel like there's a lane for both of these. If you're in the fitness space, then especially with COVID, there's a lot of people that had a lot of knowledge that translated in their brick and mortar businesses to the online space. There's one of these on every corner. Who do you know that you can trust to give you the scoop on some of these things? That can be the most difficult thing. It's very, very competitive. In fact, outside of the direct mail consultant, I think all of these spaces are very crowded and can be very, very hard to be competitive in, and very hard to stand out. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. But let's take a look at what you can make. It could be anywhere from 1 to 200K a month. I am not exaggerating. There is so much need. I'll say this from those of us in the US where, health issues are rampant. I guess every country has it, but, when you don't live in other countries, you don't see the same things. So definitely health issues. There is absolutely obesity issues. So there's a lot of there's a lot of need, and anytime you have need, there's opportunity. So average investment could be years and years of consuming knowledge or learning knowledge, and then ultimately lots of dollars along the way. And time to revenue can be 200 plus days. Again, I feel like the space is kind of crowded. It depends on how you, what you ultimately call yourself. I see somebody's asking, or saying they call themselves a wellness consultant. The problem is when you self-identify as something, you have to make sure that that's a term that people are actually searching for. If somebody is searching for an ad strategist, that's probably something they're absolutely searching for. Paid media, probably not quite as strong of a search term. So you just have to make sure that whatever you call yourself is something that people can, that they are searching for and connecting around. which is one of the reasons the consultant word is so broad. And so I think the opportunity to leverage that is something everybody gets. They all understand that term. So anyway, that's the first 9. And I said I was saving the best for last because I feel like that all of these spaces, like I said a moment ago, are very, even though there's so much opportunity in them because there's a demand for them, but it can be difficult for us to stand out in some of these spaces. And I feel like that some of you may already have business models where you could take and add on one of these opportunities to your existing model, just by simply, pricing something out and saying, I can either do this service for you or I can share my knowledge on how you do it. I feel like there's just not I don't think a lot of people have really realized that they can do that they don't have to develop the course for it, kind of thing. Because a lot of us that's not something we want to do, right? Or it feels intimidating to us. But being a consultant is something you can step into pretty rapidly. But I feel like there is a real need for something. I'm coining this phrase. I'm going to just own it. I basically just give you a little background on this. I was talking to my business coach and I'd been struggling to figure out how I could show up. And, I have all this knowledge. I've built agencies. I've done the social media thing. I have, sold the courses, all the things. But it really all boiled back down to one common thing, authority, and being able to monetize that authority through content. And so I feel like there's such a real need for people in the creator space. We're all creators. Each and every one of us are creators. We're showing up on social media. The problem is, and here's the problem, is that it's why social media isn't working for so many of you. You said, no, social media isn't generating tons of money for me, is because you don't have the core things in your business. So I feel like there is such a need for people to support the creator, and just provide basic things on the front side. How do they set up an authority page so that when somebody looks them up, it's immediately clear that they can help them. What kind of lead gen, moving people from their social platforms to their list where they can monetize those people and hopefully get their mailing address at the same time so that they can, as they grow, send that newsletter. Okay. But the basic things of moving people from social media ultimately to somewhere that they can monetize those people. So it's really about monetization. It's going to be a business opportunity, so a business in a box, but it's also going to be, so that's for anybody who's like, okay, I want a business that I can make money with. But, if you are also that person who you identify as a creator, you can learn how to do this yourself. You would ultimately have to hire a consultant to do the thing for you. So it's going to be twofold. It's going to be for the person who wants to do this as a business, and it's going to be for that person who wants to figure out how to finally monetize their business and do it correctly. So how much can you make with this? 10 to 100K a month. My goal really is to get my students to 10K a month in 90 days or less. In fact, I'm going to guarantee it. I'm going to guarantee 10K in 90 days or less as a business opportunity, because I'm going to share a selling system with you that really, unless you don't do it, you can't fail at. That's really the only reason you would ultimately not succeed, is if you don't do the work. But basically, that's the space that is, again, brand new. Nobody's in this space yet. There is 48 million people, y'all, that self-identify as content creators that are not making $10,000 a month. Did you hear that? And that's just people who say they are a content creator. How many of you guys have never thought of it like that? Like, I never thought to identify myself as a content creator, but I guess I am. And again, how are you at a place where you are your money is in the right lane, meaning I got a 10K month every month. If you don't have a 10K month every month and this is intriguing to you, it's such a big opportunity. I think it's not going to be super crowded because this is a whole new space. But I'm going to take everything that I've learned over the years and, shorten that learning curve for you so that you can get into the money as quickly as possible. We're going to be rolling this out. So I think it's next week. Snag a spot on the wait list, you guys. If you are interested in figuring out if this is going to be a revenue stream that you could, replace an existing business model that's not working for you, no longer serving you. That's to say that that's your situation, but it might be. Or you are, hey, I would like to add this to my existing, services or coaching or whatever it is. Or that you're a creator, you're out there hustling, but you're not making money, then this might also be for you. So just grab a spot on the at kimgross.com/authority creator. And I just really feel like I'm super, super pumped about this because self-serving on my side, I just feel like it's in alignment. Finally, this is in alignment with how I serve, how I can show up and really make a difference. And then I'm excited also to make an impact in a whole new space that is literally not being served right now. So hopefully you will be with us. All right. All right. I know we had a couple of questions that I didn't get, so I'm going to circle back real quick and make sure that I didn't miss a question. Oh, I think Rhonda answered it, but I'm going to just touch on it real quick again. What kind of envelope that the newsletters are mailed in? Are they folded and mailed? Actually, no. And I think Rhonda did, but again, looking at this through the lens of, okay, how can you, those that didn't see the question, get an answer to this? Because there's a lot of interest, I think, in this. Is our business coach says, hey, send full size. So thinking about it, an 8.5 by 11 full size. He says using clear envelopes. The ones that there. Do you ever have just like a brain cramp and the words just won't come out? ClickFunnels. Okay, it came to me. ClickFunnels sends theirs in a white envelope that's got a little branding on it, but it's basic. It's not anything fancy. I think there's some colored typing on it. I don't have the envelope handy, but basically you want it to be kind of simple. You don't want it to just plain. I think Maggie, the gal that I was sharing with you, I think she just sent just a plain brown type of envelope. And one suggestion, and this might be something, again, I think you can do until your list gets to a place where you can't support it, is handwrite out addresses, because that makes it seem a little more personal too. So those are just some types of, let's see. Question, can you start at ground zero as an authority creator consultant? Such a great question. Yes. So this is literally going to be a business in a box, and meaning you're going to have all the support things. So the things that we recommend for somebody who's trying to monetize are basic things that we teach you how to do and ultimately how to sell to a creator. So, just quick example. If I see somebody on TikTok that is creating good content, they're building up an audience, and I go to their profile and I'm like, wow, there's nothing here. There's no link here. There's no nothing. I Google them. I go to their page. I find I can't even figure out what they do. But they're building a community. They've got 10,000 followers on TikTok. They just don't have basic stuff in place. So I'd reach out to that person. I'd say, hey, I love what you're doing. You're just rocking it. Highlight whatever you liked about them. And then say, I just noticed though, that you don't have a lead gen, or you don't have you don't have I went to your website and I am not quite sure what you do. That's what I do. I am an authority creator consultant. I can help you fix those problems. And, it's super simple because you're highlighting the core things in their business that they know they don't have. In some cases, they don't know how to do. They don't know what they don't know. A lot of creators just don't know. Now, I will say this, and I don't mean to disparage anybody when I say this, and I'm not calling names, but I have peers that have been in the social media space probably as long or maybe longer than me, and I could do that outreach to them today. I mean, seriously, it's because they're trading their influence for the next, they built good communities. They haven't moved them to a list. They they don't have anything to sell except for their influence, their time. So there's just such a big opportunity here with this. So we do teach you all the things you need. We give you templates, literally everything that you are going to need to create consistent 10K a month, months. So like I say, I'm super excited about this. I think the biggest thing that'll be powerful for everybody is that selling system, because that's probably where most people break down, even if they have established service businesses. It's feast or famine. They don't have a consistent way to generate clients. And so we're going to try to solve that problem with the Authority Creator program. All right. All right, guys and gals. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I do have one last question. Last week, I went live every day and shared a lot of information on basically how do you get brand gigs as an influencer or as a content creator. I'm just curious if everybody likes that. Like, you want me to keep going live every day? It challenged me to get myself out there, again, and really share and serve. So I'm just curious, as I know some of you guys joined in quite a few times last week. Do you get value from the lives? All right. Good. All right. Excellent. All right, so let me see. It seemed like there was one other question here. Give me just a second. So the question is this: if you're ready to earn 10K a month consistently, or nope, that's not the question. Hang on, I'm waiting. I'm trying to find the question. Rhonda just texted me and said that we had a great LinkedIn question. So here it is. So based on your research, would you say e-commerce or knowledge commerce is going to blow up over the next few years? It's important to me to be focused on one platform expertise. Such a good question, Jenna. So I think that the whole e-com space is absolutely just going to continue to explode, right? So let me see if I can fix this camera real quick. All right. Sometimes it gets blurry and that annoys me. Okay. So hopefully it's not blurry on y'all's end. So e-com, absolutely. And I mentioned this before, where you could have specialties around certain things. Like, you could be a Shopify consultant, or you could be an Amazon consultant. Or you could be an ads, if you like the ad space, you could be an ads person for e-commerce brands. I mean, there's so many ways to niche within a specific knowledge base. But I also feel like there is opportunity for that within the spectrum of each individual platform. LinkedIn, I tell you, I've seen more LinkedIn consultants pop up over the past year to 18 months. They're literally everywhere. So used to, LinkedIn wasn't the sexy platform, right? It was like, I'm very rarely on LinkedIn, et cetera. But it has become sexy over the last year or so, year and a half in particular. And so a lot of people have popped into that space. Whether it's LinkedIn, whether it is, TikTok, YouTube, absolutely, getting super nailed down on a specific platform will serve you well. It's also it's super easy at that point from a messaging perspective too, because if you say I'll just use this as a quick example. I do ads for whatever, like, okay, so, but if I say, hey, I do YouTube ads for ecom brands. Okay, if I'm an ecom brand and I want to do YouTube ads, I'm way more likely to do business with you, right? So, getting some specificity with your messaging is huge. And I think that starts with how do we really define what it is that we want to do? One of the things that I think one of the things we plan to teach with the Authority Creator is I think there's all kinds of creators that are out there that that are in certain lanes. You could ultimately say, hey, I'm just going to be a content authority consultant for e-commerce brands, or I'm going to be an authority creator consultant for bookkeepers or whatever. Because the reality is all of these different niches, the way that they sell is through authority, through content. How they leverage social media still is tied right directly back to the content and how they show up in the space. So yeah, so I'm excited about this for me and for everybody else, because I feel like there's just so much need for this. So I want to give a quick shout out to all the winners. We have two winners, Amy and Elizabeth. They won how to confidently charge for your services and earn more in the process. So congrats. If you run over to kimgarst.com/winner, we'll get you set up with your logins and you will be set and ready to go. All right, guys and gals, I appreciate your time and attention. Next week, we will have a special guest. We're going to be talking with my sweet friend, Erica, about sales. So if you struggle with, she's very heart-based too. So, she's not going to share a lot of, trickery kind of things. It's really heart-centered. But she is super knowledgeable and you guys are going to get so much value from her. I'm looking forward to having her next week. So join us for her on Monday of next week, same time, same place. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about just yet, but I'm going to continue showing up every morning and we'll see where it takes us. Okay. Appreciate you. Take care. God bless.